First of all, I'd like to thank the Most High for giving me this opportunity. And most of all, get a little teary and shaky voice for a man, a gentleman that gave me the opportunity to be before you. That's not something that people gingerly do. But I'm going to say this, I'm also glad for my brother, Carlos Gladding, that is here, because he initially kicked the FWC Center project off. Now, Pastor, no, I am one that speaks from the heart, and I don't hold my tongue. So there are a few things, don't take them personally, but take them from a perspective of this being serious business at a serious time. The first thing I want to talk about is understanding vision. You have to have insight and foresight. God gives you insight, and you take that insight and transform it into foresight. A vision has to have a common cause. And let me back that up. Unity has to have a common cause. We have to come together on a consensus to have a common agenda. That's number one. Now, where is the center? What must the center do to manifest itself into serving the public the way it wants to? For it to be a center, it must transition from what it was to what it needs to come into. It is right now recognizably known to be a spinoff of the church. It cannot operate in that capacity. If you intend to say that anyone is inclusive that comes from any community, because everybody has their own agenda and on that aspect. So I say that if the doors are open, there can be no contradiction of understanding this is a church and this is a center. Okay? There are 24-hour operations for the church, no doubt. But there must be certain hours of operation for the center. The other thing that I recommend is that we have to transform our understanding of the time we're in. At the initial time that the center was enacted, it wanted to be a community center. I moved that it be a production center. Why do I say that? Because we're in an area that is not a community. We're in a commercial business area. A community is a subdivision of a whole or parts of a whole. This is not a subdivision of a community. Old Pineville Road and Woodlawn does not say Woodlawn community. This is a business district. And we're in that business district, and it overshadows us to a certain degree. So I say, and it's my recommendation, it's just a suggestion, that if we're going to use FWC Community Production Center, then we can have a niche, and we need a niche versus what other programs are doing around Charlotte. This place loves media. Pastor loves it. I definitely love it. And I think it will help the community on a wholesale perspective to know what we do from that perspective, and then take the programs and initiate them from that perspective. We're going to have to get bodies. Okay, when I say get bodies, we're going to have to get, I want to put together a application that people can fill out to say, this is what I do, this is what I've done. Can I bring it to the production center and move from there? That's what I propose. That's what my vision is. the community, culturally, Charlotte has changed. The Charlotte I grew up in 50 years ago, and when you say you started to grow from a young child like these kids are, and then you start your growth up to your teenage years, into your adult years. But the Charlotte I grew up in was much different than the Charlotte it is today. The community I grew in was much different than communities are today. The community I grew up in had what we call the tribal village concept. Why do I say that? Because everyone knew each other, everyone went to the same churches, everyone went to the same schools, everyone played together. Miss Jones or Miss Jackson or Miss Fieldhead could say, look here, son, I'm gonna tell your mother that you messed up, and mother would come home and straighten her. That's the kind of community. It was love, sometimes tough love. Sometimes tough love is good. Okay? So the communities today are not like that. People do not know even who their neighbors are, let alone anything else. So from that perspective, our community showed love, and we have to now continue to transcend love in a different way to all kind of races of people, because Charlotte has changed. Charlotte is in a development mode of change where it is in what I call growth capacity. Now, what is growth capacity? You can drive around Charlotte and you can see buildings going up everywhere. Charlotte is millennial getting ready for growth capacity, because the city has to always have what? Money to operate. So it is the millennial generation that they are catering to. They built the light rail north to south, but Charlotte started off from east to west. The east side of Charlotte was all white. The west side of Charlotte was all black. But when it built the light rail, it catered to the new, because Pineville, Matthews area is new, and University is new. The development of those two areas is less than 25 years old. So what do they envision? Okay, we're gonna have to operate with the new, and that's what they're doing. So we have to have growth capacity also. So how do we generate growth capacity? By recruiting people that want to initiate programs to come into the production center and be productive. Everything else is already developed. But the thing about this center and this place, it has a uniqueness that a lot of places and a lot of people that have companies and have nonprofit organizations, we have a niche. We have the light rail, we have buses, and we have that thoroughfare of Old Pineville Road and Woodlawn. A lot of these other places don't even have a place to even meet. They have to get a place. But this place, by having its own niche, can bring them to the fold to do the collaboration that you want to have. And if we initiate the programs, and we will initiate the programs from other people's perspectives. So that's how I see that happening. So we're in a transformation mode. The center started out to be one thing, but now it has to adapt. You have to be adaptable when it comes to changing. So we have to adapt to the climate, the conditions, the environment that we're in to be able to move forward. I want to say thank you. Thanks to Pastor. Thank all of you for coming, and thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, we want you to stand. We're going to
open up
ask.
for questions and answers.
So we're going to open up the floor for any questions you may have concerning everything he shared on today. So any questions at all? Or remarks?
Well, I guess my question would be to make that distinction with development center. Then, of course, that requires some changing of paperwork, and is that something that in this season that we want to address, or is this something that we're looking at perhaps in the future? And the second question with that is, I'm not so sure that this is the location that actually we will build the center. It can have its roots as it does here, but what would you say when we move into a community, would we then still continue to keep the productive, productive production center, or would we go back to the development center, or would we just, how would we handle that? That would be my question.
Okay. The first part of your question was the name change. As we are now, I would keep it until the capacity grows as far as people, because you need more. We need more people. We need a staff. Okay. Now, if you move into an area that has a community, you say go back to community. I say no. I say that we stay in work in progress mode, production, always producing. That's where I'm at on that.
Yes.
All right. So in response to your statement about keeping the name the same until more growth comes, in regards to production, like, do you know the way of attracting more people into production? In other words, like, trying to think, like, more people wanting to come into.
So how would you market? Is that what you're asking?
Right. In other words, how do you market that?
There's a code word in the street called JOB.
Right.
If you tell people that we're in a production mode to help you create a job or find a job, or train to get a job, that's the only code word you have to use, is jobs.
Okay. All right, that makes sense from here. Yeah, I see where you're going on that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone
Anyone
else? Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Dr. Randall Hall Walker. What a joy it is to come to you by way of television and share with you Journey to Greatness broadcast. If we're being a blessing to you, would you be so kind to consider going to our website and giving a generous gift so we can stay on the air? Go to fwccharlotte.com and click on Give and support the ministry so we can stay on the air. Thank you so very much and wish God's very best to you.